So, would it be crazy to say that working in film made me delay my transition by actual years? So, I came out in 2017, but didn't even start HRT until 2021. There's a few myriad reasons behind this that don't relate to film, like being kicked out by my parents, resetting my entire life to square one, not having health insurance, never having any experience utilizing the healthcare system. I didn't even know how to schedule an appointment, it was embarrassing. Despite everything, I was using she, her pronouns and considered myself a woman. But so much of my personality was rooted in this insatiable masculinity. I wanted to be strong, tough, to be accepted by my male peers, both for validation and the hope that they'd hire me for the next set. It wasn't until this intense dry spell most of the film industry's gone through that I feel like I've started to explore my identity in ways beyond the strength I felt I needed. I've been more vulnerable with myself this past year than at any point since transitioning. I've worn more dresses, learned makeup, I started voice training, mostly self-taught, I started hanging out with more trans and queer folk, and dating other trans women. Film is a boys' club, at least in my city. It's difficult to break into any circles if you're anything other than the norm. I got enough work to make a living, but I never seemed to foster any lasting professional relationships. I never found the director that brings me on to lens every project, or the DP that brings me on to keep sharps, or even a first AC who just likes to keep me around. And part of that comes from my obnoxiously large personality early on. I wanted so badly to be respected, to be accepted as an equal, that I was just plain difficult to work with. I'd argue, I'd fight, I'd tell someone I thought they were wrong and that I was right. Eventually I caught on, keeping sort of a Zen mindset, as a friend told me. And I got over in time to actually make some genuine connections. I found producers who liked me enough to bring me on things. I met a few that liked me enough to hire me full-time at a production house before it went under a year later. I later learned, or at least got the vibe, that I was a last-ditch effort to make the company profitable again in a post-COVID slump. I was grateful for it either way. It was more money than I'd ever made, my first time getting real grown-up benefits like insurance, a 401k, and I got to pay off my car, keep it maintained. But my personality would still get in the way. That masculine part of me that desperately didn't want to die would get in the way. I still argued, I still fought, I told the entire team I thought the work we were putting out was shit, and that's why we weren't profitable. I was only hired as an editor, but with the possibility of getting to lens projects as I integrate with the team. I did end up getting to shoot a handful, but only after several months, and only after a new executive producer was hired who actually saw in me some semblance of potential. And even then, despite everything, and despite that producer's mentorship and constant batting for me in the boardroom meetings, I never achieved the official title of VP. I was always told I need more training. Despite operating at or above the level of any of the freelance shooters we hired, the carrot was just dangled in front of me the entire time there. And it made me angry. It gave me drive. I was laser focused on it, to the detriment of having a personal life and exploring what made me genuinely happy. When we got the news that we were all being laid off, everyone from the president down to the assistant editor, it came with a sense of relief somehow. The chase was finally over. I could actually prove myself as a DP without the burden of pitching myself to the team I had come to know over the past year. I got a few jobs at a full rate as a DP with the smaller outfit that my mentor producer had founded with another former member. The jobs are great and some of the most fulfilling work I've ever done, but they still weren't enough to make a living. My savings ran out and I was late with rent, and I barely managed to skirt an eviction from the apartment I moved into just 2 months before being laid off. I know I could move somewhere else, even as close as Chicago, and probably find myself in a thriving queer filmmaking community where I'd get to find that director, find that DP, maybe even join the union, but with the sparse work I was getting in St. Louis, coupled with the fact that I had no support system, it just wasn't possible to save up enough to make a move like that viable. I don't know how much you make if you also freelance in film, but I never made more than $14,000 a year. I was barely scraping by. Even then, STL is my home. This is the city that took me in at the lowest point in my life and gave me community. All my friends are here, and it would suck major balls to leave them behind for a chance to make a living pulling focus for Dick Wolf shows. For now, I'm back doing wedding videography and working part-time as an assistant at a salon with my mom. It's still scraping by, but it's something. And I gotta say, I'm burnt the hell out. When I left high school, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything other than film. The YouTubers who inspired me, Tom Ridgewell, Freddie Wong, Sam and Nico, all the greats, I wanted to be just like them. I wanted to make movies with my friends and make a living doing it. Now, I'm not so sure anymore. It's hard to find passion in something that's chewed me up and spit me out more times than I can count and kept me away from learning more about myself for years. All I want to do is stay home and write folk punk and play video games and smoke weed. I think in some way I've experienced an ego death, but, well, I guess when I put it like that, the ego might still be there. I don't know, but at the very least, I've experienced a seismic shift in my personality. I'm used to change. Hell, I made that one essay on a visual novel that talked all about it. But this for sure feels different than any change I've gone through before. I've done more transitioning in the past 6 months than I have since I came out as not a man that fateful summer of 2017. Do I want out of film? Maybe. Supposedly career changes are harder than ever, hiring algorithms don't like it or whatever, but it's far too late for me to go back to college in any affordable way, and even if I did, I don't know what I'd study. I had such a core goal, it defined my entire being, I centered my life around it, but now that I'm not so sure it's my goal anymore, now that I center my life around, not around networking and connections and the latest camera gear, but my friends, my family, my hobbies, my art, it's insanely difficult to answer the question of what I want to do. Maybe this isn't a goodbye from film, maybe I just need a hiatus, maybe I'll find that passion again, maybe I'll meet that director with a script I resonate with so vividly that I come screaming out of retirement. What I know for sure is I need a rest. A good, long rest. I just gotta take a break and be a girl for a bit. Which brings me to the elephant in the room. My name is Maple. I used to go by Dawn, at least socially. It's still my legal name for signing documents and whatever, but that's all it is to me now. Names aren't that big a deal, and if you don't like your name, you can change it for whatever reason or no reason at all, but you know me, I'm gonna read into it. Dawn, for me, represented strength, which is what I needed at the time in my life when I picked it. But after encountering the idea of Maple as a name in the midst of this shift in my life, I realized I don't need strength anymore. I need warmth. And that's what the name Maple means to me. So hi, my name's Maple, she, her. I'm a musician, computer programmer, writer, dungeon master, MTG cube builder, and at least for the moment, STL-based cinematographer and camera assistant on hiatus. Peace.